Hello and welcome everyone for another session of DataHour series. We are thrilled to be here with you this evening for a session full of action-packed learning. I'm Nishant Tiwari, part of data science team and analytics Vidya. For those who have joined us for the first time, here is a brief introduction to the DataHour session. The DataHour is a series of webinars conducted by Analytics Vidya and led up by top industry experts. It's a fun way to understand the concept of data science, data engineering, software engineering, blockchain, and leading players with the leading players in the industry. We hope this session are going to be a great source of enrichment and value adding for our community members. Uh, on the other hand, we offer blogs, hackathon, and courses to our community members. You can check out our flagship Black Belt Plus program. It's a specifically curated program that prepares you to become a top-notch AI/ML professional. You can find the link in the chat section. Just a moment. Let me put it up. You can find the link in chat section. Now on to our session today, which is generative AI LLMs using Databricks Data Intelligence Platform. Sorry. In this session, we learn how we can leverage Databricks in language generation and intelligence data processing with the demonstration of real-world application of generative AI and LLMs. I hope you are excited to attend this data with us. Before we kick things off, uh, there are few housekeeping items. Uh, I'll give you a quick recap for that. We are recording this session, and the recording will be available on our community platform. Uh, Link for the same is in again. I'm pasting in the chat section. You can visit that link for the recorded sessions. Please use the Q&A section to ask any question you might have during the session, and we'll do our best to answer them as data progresses or towards the end. We will be sharing a feedback poll towards the end, and I would request you all to kindly fill that up before leaving the session so we can make our session more value adding. Now, on to our speaker. In this session of data, we have Professor Dr. Caio Moreno with us. Dr. Moreno is an expert in big data, Hadoop, Spark, Kafka, data science, machine learning, and generative AI. He is an adjunct professor, professor at IE University and a solution architect and data scientist at Databricks. So, Kayo, thank you for joining us today. Virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invite, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. I hope you guys can see me and can hear me and can see the slide. So I'm very excited to talk about generative AI. I think it's a topic that everybody's talking about. We see this in the news all the time, and people are comparing this with electricity, internet, something that is changing the world. As I said, I'm solution architect at Databricks. I'm also a professor in the university here in Madrid, in Spain. I'm talking from Madrid today. And I want to give a little bit of introduction about what is generative AI today and also how we could do this at Databricks. I don't know if you guys know Databricks. Maybe if you could put in the chat people that maybe if you're using Databricks already or if you know. I would like to know more about the audience, what you guys know about Databricks. So I will try to explain in the short time that we have. It's a big topic. For those who are experts, feel free to reach out to me later with questions or any comments, also feedback on the session. And I'm always happy to talk to anyone who likes those topics. So, talking a little bit about myself, this is my LinkedIn. If you want to connect, you can connect with me in LinkedIn, and yeah, feel free to send your questions and any comments. As I said, I'm based here in Madrid, so if you're around, ping me. Happy to discuss these topics in person. So a little bit about the agenda. I'm gonna speak about Databricks vision. also what we call the Databricks Data Intelligence Platform. And what is generative AI? Also about the MIT report, which gives a good summary to executives how we could use generative AI in the companies, and also some next steps. So I will present some course that you could do if you want to go deep in this topic, how we could use Databricks to do those things. Also, I'm going to share a code, like a hands-on demo, which you can, after this session, go and test it, code. If you want to do get your hands dirty, you're probably gonna like this demo. Um, so a little bit about the Databricks vision. For those who are familiar with Databricks, maybe this is going to be a repetitive thing, but for those who are new, let me explain a little bit about who is Databricks and what we do. So we are a data AI company. We are recognized by Gartner as database management system and data science and machine learning platforms leader. So we are in the Prudent Magic. We have 1.5 billion in revenue. We passed that already, and we had like around $4 billion in investment, and we have more than 6,000 employees. So the company is growing a lot. We are known as the pioneers on generative AI and also the inventors of lakehouse. For the open source community, if there are people here that are very engaged in the open source community, you probably know the projects that we created, like Delta Lake, also MLflow, which is a standard for machine learning projects now, and of course, Apache Spark, which is everybody that is trying to do big data, you will probably have to use Apache Spark to do the big data processing, and it's a super recognized project, open source project. In terms of our vision, we want every company to be a winner. So we believe that the winners in every industry will be data and AI companies. So it doesn't matter if you're a manufacturer company, whatever type of industry you are, financial service, healthcare, you will need to invest in data AI and become a data and AI company. Just three examples of companies that are using data and AI and getting good results, like JetBlue, for example, they're using generative AI, Intuit and AT&T. They all using machine learning, big data, and all those things to get amazing results. If you guys want to know more about those case study, I'm happy to talk in private and explain more. But those are three examples of companies that are using us and are using big data and AI. So when we think about organizations, they usually struggle to become a data AI company. Why? Because they have they need to have a data lake, they need to have machine learning, they need to have streaming, data warehouse, BI, orchestration, ETL, governance, data science, and now they also need to have generative AI. So how can you do all those things? You usually need a lot of platforms, a lot of different companies, a different service. You do something in this one, something another one. So it's super hard for the data architecture teams to deal with all this complexity, different vendors, different companies. And so a lot of companies, they are struggling. They're really struggling to do that. And then when we think about like the data and AI governance and silos, so different tools to do different things, that they don't work together. Also, the problem with data privacy, a lot of challenge around how you control the data, how you control, for example, the machine learning models that you're deploying, all those complications that we see with our customers. And also, they really need a lot of very, very highly technical people, which is super hard to find. Probably most of us that are in this call, we are the ones that people are looking for us. So they want us to build data platforms, and that's very good for us. I mean, it's amazing to see how many people joined this session today. And yeah, we have a lot of opportunities for us to build those platforms. So this is good news, right? Good news is we are in demand. So companies are really struggling to do that, to build platforms and to become data and AI companies. So the good news is, like, at Databricks, we have what we call the data lakehouse, which is an open and unified foundation for all your data. So what we have is, like, we have what we call the open data lake, which you can store all raw data, for example, logs, text, audio, video, image, everything in one place. And also, this is multi-cloud. It means your data could be on Microsoft Azure, on Google Cloud Platform, on Amazon, AWS. So you could have your data on Databricks, on the open data lake, running on any one of those clouds. So we store this data in a very reliable and secure way in our platform. We have what we call the unified security governance and cataloging, which I'm going to talk a little bit more. And this is also important regarding generative AI, because now people are building generative AI solutions, and you need to think about governance. It's not just about deploying your machine learning model, your new generative AI solution. If you don't have this data foundation, the governance, your solution cannot go to production. So then you also have the data science and AI, the ETL, real-time analytics, the orchestration, the data warehouse. I mean, we hear a lot people talking about AI and generative AI all the time, but there is still a very strong market for data warehousing. A lot of companies are still building data warehouse, and there is this requirement to integrate things. So in 2020, Databricks pioneered what we call the lakehouse architecture. And what it means is that you can have your data house and also your data lake, or let's say the two worlds, the two different groups of people in one platform. So instead of you having to deal with multiple platforms and different solutions, you can use just one, in this case, Databricks, and Databricks can simplify your architecture. So we can basically help you to reduce cost and simplify the architecture, having just one solution that can deal with all the complexity. So using the idea of the data lakehouse concept. Uh, so going more about future, after we launch this today, 74% of all global enterprise, they have adopt the lakehouse. So this is like from the MIT Technology Review Insights from 2023, which is last year, still in the beginning of the year. So it's amazing to see how companies adopt the lakehouse and how this is the industry standard now. In terms of integration, Databricks is built on what we call like an open foundation. So you can bring tools from orchestration, data integration, ML and AI. You also have multiple data sources and business partners, the data and AI governance security, and the business intelligence community. So all those things can connect to Databricks. Um, Talking about the future now, which is super real, new things which are coming right now, is what we've done. We integrated data lakehouse with generative AI. I don't know how many of you guys saw that Databricks made a very big acquisition, like $1.3 billion, for a company called Mosaic ML. And what Mosaic ML brings to the table is they are now part of Databricks, and together what we are building is what we call the Data Intelligence Platform. So when we say we want to democratize data across your entire organization, it means, because now using generative AI, for example, you can ask things in natural language. For example, you can write questions in English, you can write questions in Spanish or whatever language you wanted to write. And then, for example, this could create like a SQL query for you, or maybe a Spark code, or any interactions that we're going to have. So we are embedding a lot of generative AI in our platform. And that's something I'm going to talk more in details. So when we think about Databricks Data Intelligence Platform, what we see in with our customers is, for example, for the Delta Lake, for those that doesn't know Delta Lake is a super smart and optimized way of storing your data. So if you're storing your data with Parquet files, for example, Delta is still Parquet, but it has a lot of features that helps you to optimize maybe your performance and your size of your data and many other things. So also what we're doing with generative AI, with the Databricks Data Intelligence Platform, we are automatically optimizing your data. For example, there are features that we launched recently. They helps you to save costs, help you to better partition your data and do this in a more wise way. Also for the unit catalog, for those who doesn't know, unit catalog is our governance tool. So for your data catalog, you also can get insights from your data using natural language. So you can do semantic search on top of your data and use natural language. So you just ask a question and then it give you the answer using a generative AI embedded. Um, so also what we're doing, we are putting, for example, generative AI to help you to generate text, like generate SQL using text. So imagine you say, I wanted to know all my sales from last year in Europe, for example. And then you get a answer for your question using generative AI. Also around workflows. Workflows is the way you use to do your data flow. So we using generative AI to do job cost optimization based on your past runs. For Delta Live tables, helping also with automate data quality. And then in the data science part, create and tune serve your own LLM. So for example, if you want to deploy your own LLM now in an infrastructure, if you do this on Databricks, you're gonna get a more optimized version of your LLM. So instead of using normal infrastructure, if you deploy that on Databricks, you have better results. So in terms of what we call Databricks AI, so you can build your generative models, your generative AI models uh, on your on Databricks, right? I'm going to explain a little bit more about that later in a demo. Also, you could deploy it. What we have is we have something called model serving, which is how you serve your model. You make your model available to your customers, like an endpoint that is real time. And then I'm going to show a RAG demo. It's basically how you could train your own LLM and use your own data on Databricks. So the end-to-end AI as well, like you could do ML ops on top of Databricks, AutoML, all the monitoring and all the governance. For example, if you have a machine learning model, you want to deploy this to a team, you can say, okay, this model is available for these people and for other people. So you can do all that in Databricks. So what we have is what we're trying to achieve is to extend this capability to all the organizations. So the finance team, the operation, the marketing, customer service, all of them, we want them all to benefit from generative AI inside our platform. So we have what we call this Project Genie, which is basically data AI with natural language, and this is gonna enable people that they're not super technical to also interact with the platform. So that's kind of the future where we see companies moving, like democratizing more data AI to more people. So that's what we wanted to do, is our vision. We want to use natural language, as I mentioned, to make it simple. Also, we want to make the platform as much as intelligent as possible using AI. And we also wanted to help customers with privacy. So if you want your custom model on your private data, so imagine you don't want to use someone else LLM, and you can have your own and you can train with your own data. So that's a big differentiator that we have, that we help companies to build their own LLMs with their own data. It's all inside Databricks and super secure. So that's something we're gonna go more deep in details. So talking about the Lakehouse AI capabilities, I think this is a kind of pretty deep uh, slide to show. But what we know is like we first need to prepare the data, so we can do this in notebooks, workflows like SQL, DB like Spark, Data. So the data comes from multiple places. We can have the models and the features on our data lake in our unit catalog, which we have governance, lineage, the data storage, everything's covered. And then when you serve, you can serve, like you have features serving, you have functions. You also could monitor this with what we call the lakehouse monitoring and a lot of features for data quality. And when you are developing and evaluating your AI models, you can use MLflow. MLflow will allow you to um, keep track of a lot of the metrics. So you're building your notebooks, you're using AutoML, you're creating your own models. You can do this all inside Databricks. This could be a normal machine learning model, for example, a machine learning model that you're going to do to predict maybe the price of a house, or if you wanted to maybe create a machine learning model that is a LLM, where you wanted to um, predict the next war, which we're going to go in more detail, you can still do this inside Databricks. And then the last phase, let's say, is you're going to serve this AI model. So how do you make this model available to other people? You do this using what we call the model serving, which you make this endpoint real-time endpoint. It's available to people to consume. So you could have, for example, another API consuming this. Maybe you can have an app that is consuming. Maybe you have a BI SQL tool that want to consume this model, or you have another ETL or another streaming pipeline. What we have also, we will call the AI functions and AI gateway. Those things help you to serve your project. So this is kind of the platform that I want to show. Later, I'm gonna give you more details about the demo, where you can today build your own custom model, your own custom LLM solution. But this is kind of like a high level view of the Lakehouse AI capabilities. So just to make very clear, like unit catalog logs AI. So unit catalog, for those who doesn't know, is our governance tool. So and this is super ready to AI projects, so to machine learning models and everything. Now talking about what is really important, what you guys came here for, generative AI. Um, when we think about generative AI, we need to think about this AI revolution. Okay, so people will say, is this hype or is this a iPhone moment? I still remember the day that Steve Jobs present iPhone. I saw it. I was like, oh, this is super amazing. This is gonna change the world. And we are here now, many years later, and we know it changed the world. So when we think about generative AI, other people they ask us, is it a threat or is it an opportunity for my business? So many companies, many customers, they come to me with this question. They're trying to understand what is the opportunity, or maybe there is a threat from my business. And how do I deal? Maybe other companies, your competitors, they are already more advanced than you, and you're already losing the race. Um, another question is, how exactly can I use generative AI to gain competitive advantage? So many companies, they already think that, oh, this is not like a hype. I really need to get into this. So this is top of mind for all the C-level executive in all the Forbes 500 companies and almost every company. Many companies already identify this as an opportunity, and now they are asking the question, how can I how can I get a competitive advantage using generative AI? And then some companies are asking, how can I use my data, my own data, my precious data securely? And how do I keep my IP, my intellectual property? So if you are in this stage and you're considering, okay, how do I deal with those things? I think this presentation will help you a lot. and especially the demo. So going to next slide, I just want to explain very briefly what is generative AI. So you have artificial intelligence, which is a multidisciplinary field of computer science, which basically wants to create systems that are capable of emulating and surpassing human level intelligence. And we see already systems that they are much better than humans. So when we think about, for example, face recognition, there are some systems already capable to recognize a human face even better than myself. Sometimes you guys can see I have my glasses. If I don't have my glasses and I am passing to you in the street, I maybe will not recognize if I know you. So I make sure when you see me with my glass, because I will need that to recognize. But even people that they don't need glasses, they still sometimes are not doing as much as good as a human. Another thing is like machine learning translation, people using machine learning, artificial intelligence to translate, let's say from English to Spanish. I mean, I get super excited to see how good is most of the systems they now are able to translate from English to Spanish, for example. So we know this is part of our reality now. So machine learning, which is inside artificial intelligence, is basically you using data to predict things without being like something that you need to explicitly program. So you basically use data and use the statistics, and then you predict things. And then you have deep learning, which you use our artificial neural networks. And inside that, we have what we call generative AI. So that's where generative AI is. Um, and then with generative AI, what can I do? Basically, you can create using AI new content. And this new content could be image, for example. We see now models capable of creating very nice image, could be even painting. We have this AI artist now. You can create text, so you can say to your model, say, write me a summary of my presentation, for example, and then this is going to create you text. So people are using generative AI for a lot of creative things, for audio and music. So I saw recently they are using generative AI to create new songs for maybe artists that they already died. For example, the some people from the Beatles or Queen, from Freddie Mercury. I don't know if you guys are a fan. So it's super nice to see how people are using generative AI to generate new songs. Also videos, which is incredible to see this because it's a little bit scary as well. So people now can, using generative AI, get your image and create like a video where you are there and you're talking, and maybe you're talking in a language that you don't know, and it's super hard to see if that's something that people will perceive as fake or real, because it's so real that you cannot even imagine. So this is all basically because of generative AI. Also code, for those who are using generative AI to build systems. So for example, you have things like GitHub Copilot and other tools where you basically say, write me a code that is going to do this and that. And then it uses generative AI and generates the code. Same thing for 3D objects, synthetic data. So the potential is huge. It's super amazing. I see people mention like deep fake. Yeah. Yes, you can use generative AI for that. And but how does it work, right? What are generative models like? So how do we know what is this? So basically, what we call LLM, which is large language model, they can get data objects, for example, use a deep neural network and do some tasks, like as I mentioned, synthetic image generation, style transfer edit, translation, question answer, semantic search. We see a lot of bots now, a lot of chat bots. So people using generative AI to answer questions, So also speech to text, so my audio being converted to text, and like music transcription. So there are a lot of potential. Uh, so giving a small and summarized definition of what is a LLM. So think about generative AI. Inside generative AI, you have large language model, what we call LLMs. And something interesting that I didn't put in this presentation, but now people talk about a lot about these small language models, because now some people are building customized version of models for things and doesn't need to be that big anymore. So there is also this new field emerging a lot. So something to keep in mind. And then there we have the foundation models. And then the large language models, they basically are models they were trained on massive data sets to achieve advanced language processing capability, and they are based on deep learning neural networks. So those models are extremely sophisticated. They can use this huge amount of data, and they are being able to do things that we couldn't imagine maybe 1 2 years ago. And then the foundation models, they are large machine learning models that they were trained also in a lot of data and fine-tuned for a specific language and understanding. And we couldn't have generative AI without those foundation models like that. If you guys are familiar, like there is like all this idea about transformers, and even there are some books that I will recommend. For example, one of I don't want to I'm not getting any money, but this book is, I don't know if you guys can see, it's called like natural language process with transformers, which gives you a big understanding of what we are talking about today. But why now? Why this is important now? Why should we care about generative AI? So why now is because now we have large data sets. So we have them available. We have huge computational power. We have a lot of compute. Now we can use, for example, Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, Google. They can provide us a lot of hardware. So and then you have GPUs as well. So this access that we have to the cloud, and then we have open source softwares like Hugging Face as well. For those who doesn't know, we recommend you to have a look. And we have this innovative data deep learning models, the things we discussed, like the transformer architecture, the gangs, the reinforcement learning from human feedback. All those things, they made generative AI possible. But why should I care? Basically, why is this important to me? This is not something that it will stay. And then we see that generative AI models, they have now the accuracy and the effectiveness that you can use. So it's a lot of power, and we can do use case now that we couldn't do maybe 1 year ago. Also, it's not expensive in a way that it's prohibit, like companies can use it. And also it's something that non-technical business users understand and can use. So the popularity is just going up and up and up. So, oh, and someone asked me, I cannot see all the questions, but someone asked me for the book, it's Natural Language Processing with Transformer. I will uh, show you later. So the regarding tooling, so another thing that makes us care is that now we have the tools. For example, Databricks is one of the tools that help you to build those things, and it's available. You can go to the Azure and go there, Azure Databricks, or you can use this in AWS on Google. It's there, you can use. We have the GPUs, right? We have the GPUs available, and this is basically helping us to move forward. In terms of generative AI use case, I put some examples here. For example, imagine this one. Say, hey, I'm giving a presentation about generative AI in Data AI Summit. Write a short, funny text to convince audience that generative AI is the future. And then you say, I want max 100 words. And I think most of you guys are familiar with those tools. And basically what we have there, like, okay, it's generate me a text. So This is just one example. Just concerned about time because I still have a lot of things I want to show. I'm going to speed a little bit in this presentation to show you guys the demo. But those are some of the NLP tasks that you could use generative AI. You can use LLMs, for example, content creation, summarization. I personally use generative AI a lot for summarization. For example, this is a very typical use case, classification, code generation. So there are many things that we could do. Here are some examples of new use case, for example, for financial service, healthcare, media, entertainment, retail, consumer good, manufacturing, public sector. All those sectors, they are being affected by generative AI. And there's some examples of things we could do. Some customers, they are already doing this. So those are public reference that they are using generative AI right now with Databricks and doing very great things. This is one example of a company called Replit. They use us and they build their own LLM. It took them 3 days to train a LLM versus weeks and months. And they use like 1 day of raw data to model deploy in production. Basically, they created their own LLM, much cheaper compared to others. So you could do it yourself as well in your company. JetBlue is another company that is using generative AI. They're building like a model to use their data. So that and then yeah, basically they're increasing innovation and doing things much faster. So in terms of how LLM works, so this is a big question. You have input data. So imagine you have the demo that I'm going to show today. We are using the Databricks documentation. So this is our input data. So then what we do, we tokenize this data. Tokenize is basically changing text, so encoding the text into a numeric representation. For example, in this slide, we see Dolly is a language model that can help you generate text for a variety of texts, for example. So we take all those words and then we transform those things in numbers. And those in this encoding process, the way that people count is like we say we call tokens, right? In this case, it has like 18 tokens, 81 characters. So and then we do the token embedding, which is basically you putting words with similar meaning into a vector space. And then that's why at Databricks we have what we call the vector search capability. I can give more details about that. But and then you have this pre-trained transformer model, and then you output this. So basically your model, when it's decoding, is imagine you ask something to the LLM, and then the LLM, what it's doing is predicting the next word, but it does so fast and in such a good way that generate your text in a manner that you get, whoa, this is magic. But it's predicting the next word. Now, one thing I wanted to talk is we have different flavors of LLMs. So when you're building your generative AI solution and you are using a LLM, you need to think that you wanted to use what we call the proprietary models or the open source models. So the main difference are, for example, the open source models you have use off the shelf or fine tune, for example. You have more flexibility for customization because you can just go and change. They can be smaller as well in size, so we can save cost. And there are commercials and there are non-commercials. Just to give you an example about commercials, open source models, they are commercial ready. The most famous one, for example, you have Facebook, right? The Meta AI Llama 2. You have Databricks Dolly. You have Databricks Mosaic ML MPT. And those are open source. There are many available in the internet. I can show you more models. And then we have what we call the proprietary models, and probably the most famous one is OpenAI. So OpenAI have many different models. So they are offered by as LLMs as a service. So you basically pay for what you use, and then also they can be some of them can be fine-tuned as well. Some of them might have restricted license for usage and modification, so you're not in control of everything. So those are kind of the choice that people they have. And then when you need to decide which one you wanted to use, you need to decide between, okay, privacy, quality, cost, latency, and all of those things. Here, an example of some of the models that we have. If you go to, I'm going to share the slides later, but if you go, you can see that there's a link here, Databricks Product Machine Learning, where we're keeping track of many different models. So if you go to the link, you see which model should I use, and then and then as Databricks, we do not endorse any of these models. You should evaluate yourself if they meet your needs. So it's up to the customer and to you to choose the best model for you. But just be aware that you can have all of them running on Databricks. So you can use Databricks as the platform, and then you select the best model for you. And you can train your own model as well. So just to talk about the MIT report, I'm going to skip about this one, but this is like a report. If you go to that link, it's very dedicated to C-level executives on how they could use generative AI to transform their companies. So there's some examples of, okay, the opportunity, also, you need to have a platform like a data and AI unified platform, like Databricks, for example. You need to decide if you want to build or if you want to buy, if you want to open, if you're close. So explain a little bit about that. And then next steps, I want to give you guys materials for you to try it yourself. This presentation can explain some of the concepts, how you could do it, but then you have to do the hands-on by yourself. So imagine that you want to build a generative AI application on Databricks, and then you need to have more control. Maybe you need to do more. You need to put this to production. You need to make sure this is production ready, and you want to do it with lower cost, right? So you have those desires. You want to have complete ownership of the data and the model. You want to do this very fast. You want to make this in a reliable way, and then you want to make this cheap. You want to be very cost effective. So if you want that, if this is what you're pursuing, um, what I will recommend is you start building your own generative AI solution. And this Databricks is the only provider that enables every architecture pattern. So right now we are with very strong platform that allows you to go from the left to the right. So let's say first you want to do maybe prompt engineering. So imagine that you wanted to just consume a LLM where you do some promptings and then you ask questions and the LLM respond. So this is like low complexity, right? So you could use you could deploy LLM on Databricks. For example, maybe you can deploy Meta to Llama 2 from Meta on Databricks. You can do, we have GPUs, you can deploy it, and then you can do prompt engineer. The second phase is maybe you wanted to combine LLM with your enterprise data. So which is what we call the retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. And I'm gonna give you guys a demo about this. And this RAG is kind of your next phase. But then you might say, I want to adapt my pre-trained LLM to a specific data set or domain. You could do this fine-tuning in Databricks as well, but that is getting more complex and you need more skills to do that. And then if you want to train an LLM from scratch, from zero, you want to build your own LLM, you want to do pre-training, also we can help with that as well. So Databricks is the platform to do that. So from beginning to the end, Databricks is there to do it, which is pretty cool because you don't have to maybe move to another platform when you go to a stage that you're more advanced or you have different needs. So these are some of the products that we have. For example, you have unit catalog, lakehouse monitoring for all your your life cycle, let's say. And then for prompt engineer, you have MLflow AI Gateway, MLflow Evolution, MLflow Prompt Engineer. And then for RAG, you have the vector search, the model serving. For fine-tuning, you have the fine-tuning, model serving, and then for pre-training, you have pre-training and model serving. So those are our products and features that we have. If you want to learn more about generative AI, I definitely recommend you to go to this link here. It's a course that we launched called Generative AI Foundation. Sorry, Fundamentals, but it's the foundation. And then you can do this training today, and then you're gonna have a certification in the end if you pass the exam. And then it's super good for you to start. And then you're gonna get the badge, and then you can start in your generative AI journey with Databricks. Another courses which are much more advanced and will take much more time to do it. One is the LLMs application for production. The other one is the LLM foundation model from the ground up. Those trains are super, super good and they go very, very deep. It would take a lot of time to do it, but if I was you, I would definitely recommend you to invest on that and do those trainings. They're free, so you can just learn a lot with no cost. And those are kind of the second phase. So do that first course first. After you get your badge, you pass, do this once, and then there's a lot of materials that I will leave here. For example, how you could use DALL-E, how you could use Hugging Face, Transformers, Databricks, also things like PyTorch with Hugging Face. Also, if you want to use Deep Speed and Hugging Face, and you want to do a fine-tuning large language model with them, all those things you can do this on Databricks. And then some webinars. So how you build your own large language model with DALL-E. So the other one is like life after ChatGPT. Also scaling large language models and deep learning on Databricks. So those are things that it would take you some time to do it. But if you wanted to go deep on this subject, I would definitely recommend. And let me talk about the demo. So at Databricks, we have something called solution accelerators. And what the solution accelerators they do, they allow you to have a solution that you can easily move this to production, and it saves a lot of time. So our, let's say, super amazing demos. And there we have one. It's called Deploy Your LLM Chatbot with Retrieval Augmented Generation, Llama 2, 7 billion parameters using Mosaic ML inference and vector search. So I'm going to click on this link here and I'm going to show you guys this. Okay. So I will share the link as well. But if you let me put this link on the chat. I cannot see all the questions, but I just paste the link of the demo in the chat. So this demo, what you do, you go to this link where we have a lot of demo, is our demo center. In the Databricks platform, you do just a pip install DB demos, and then you import this demo. And then what you're gonna see is notebooks. So we have some notebooks here with the solution. So this one is called Deploy Your LLM Chatbot with the Data Intelligence Platform. So in this tutorial, you will learn how to build your own chatbot assistant to help your customers answer questions about Databricks using retrieval augmented generation, Llama 2 7 billions, foundation model, and vector search. So this is the, if I show you here, okay, let me, 1 second, let me put this here. If you see the image, right? Oh, no, I'm trying to just do a zoom. If you see this one, so this is the architecture, okay? So you have the documentation, you're gonna put this into your Delta Lake as raw documents. So we download the documents from the Databricks website, and then we clean the data using Databricks and storing this into Delta. And we do the embedding, okay? And the embedding, do this using the LLMs, save this to the Databricks vector search, and then we have the inference, which is basically like the chatbot that can query using the model serving. So in this demo, what you're going to learn is you're going to learn how to prepare your document data set, how you're going to create a text chunk from documentation page, how you're going to create your vector search index and send queries to find similar documents. You're going to learn how to build your LangChain model. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with LangChain, but in this demo, you have that already. And you're going to deploy the chatbot as a model serving endpoint. So if you start going here, you see that, for example, while ChatGPT democratized LLMs, right? Some companies, they also need to deploy what we call personalized models. And the reason is because maybe privacy requirements on sensitive information, maybe preventing from hallucination, maybe specialized content that are not available on the internet. Imagine you have your own PDFs, your own Word documents, and you want to use that. Maybe because some specific behaviors for some customer tasks. Sometimes you might need some control over speed and cost. And maybe you want to deploy these models on your private infrastructure for security reasons. So because of that, I want to introduce the Databricks AI, and those will solve these challenges. So for example, uh, you need to ingest and transform the massive amount of data. You need to have privacy, security. You need to deploy things like vector search index. You need to have access to GPU and deploy your own LLMs. And you need to train and deploy those models. So if this is what you wanted to do, this is the stage you are. This demo is what you're gonna like a lot. So imagine that you have this curve, right? You have the generative AI maturity curve. You probably with the low complexity is prompt engineer. I think most of companies, they are just doing prompt engineer. They go get an LLM from someone else and then start doing some prompt engineer. Maybe that's what they need. This solves the job, solves the problem. That's what they need. So you stop here, right? And even in Databricks, you can just deploy a LLM and then stay in the prompt engineer. But as you move in complexity, you might need to do the retrieval, which is this demo, okay? And then the other ones, probably I would recommend you to, okay, start with prompt engineer, then try this one. And then if you are in this stage, maybe you need to train your own generative AI model, or you might need to fine tune. You can still do this in Databricks. So that is kind of like the maturity and the let's say the journey, okay? So in this demo, so basically what we have, like this is a little bit about the architecture, explain more about what we're doing in the demo. So the first part, we're gonna ingest the data, and then we're gonna create the vector search index. Okay, this is the code is here. And then we're gonna deploy this chatbot with an endpoint using the Databricks Llama 2 7 billion foundation endpoint. And then you have your bot. So let's go to the code. So in this part one, when we're doing the data preparation, what do you see here? Okay, we're installing some libraries. We are extracting the data, okay? How do we do that? We get the data from the documentation. We save this as a table. As you can see here, for example, this one is like doc Databricks, and this is the text, okay? And then we need to split the documentation into small chunks, and then we have the code for that. This is how we're splitting. So there's some transformation here. And then you need to use the vector search, which you see here the code for. So I'm not gonna have time to go in details of all the code, but you can try this in your company. Here you create your vector search endpoint, then you deploy this, and then this is the whole code for you. And then if you go here, what you see, you're gonna have a chatbot, which you can use to demo. To like here we use the Langshan retriever, and then for example here I'm going super fast because I only have I think 2 minutes or 1 minute. So here we deploy the chat, um, and then you can try to ask questions. For example, how can I track village usage on my workspace? For example, imagine you want to have like a internal Databricks chat to answer your Databricks question. So this is like an example of a chat where you can ask questions and deploy. And then congratulations, you have deployed your first generative AI. I cannot show this into Databricks because it will require like GPUs and there is a cost. So you can try this in your own Databricks infrastructure. Of course, you're gonna have to pay for that because you're gonna require GPUs and you're gonna have to deploy some service. But when you do that, you're gonna have your first generative AI RAG model, and basically what we have seen was, okay, how generative AI can help you and then like simplify your data ingestion in preparation with Databricks engineer capabilities, how you can accelerate vector search deployment with what we call fully managed index. So everything is managed by Databricks. Also, how you can leverage the Databricks Llama 2 foundation model endpoint, and then how can you deploy this model endpoint. And then this is everything in this one demo. There is more things here if you want to do more advanced things. So I will stop now because I think we are over time now. We already have, but I will definitely encourage you guys to try this demo. And just going back to my presentation here, uh, I just wanted to leave my uh, name here for you guys again. But thank you very much for your time. I can see there are so many questions. I don't know if we're gonna have time to respond now because I have to go to another meeting. But feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my details here. Here. So I'll leave my details. Send me all your questions, and I'm happy to cover that offline. And hope this was useful. I know it was too much in 1 hour, and thank you very much for staying. I can see there are a lot of people, and hope you guys use Databricks with generative AI and send me the questions and the ideas. There's so many options to do.
Thank you,
So
Kayo,
many.
for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you from. Uh, Sorry, guys. I think Kayo has another meeting, so he won't be able to take any questions today.
Send me the questions. I will answer. But I will share the slide with you guys, and then you guys can go deep on that. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay.
Bye bye.
I'll just put the link of Kayo's LinkedIn ID in the chat section so you can connect with him later on. Before you leave this session, I'm launching a feedback poll. I request you all to fill that up. Here's the Kayo's LinkedIn profile link. You can reach out to him. Uh, I have launched the feedback poll. So I request you all to please fill that up so we can know you have loved this session. So that's all from our side. Thank you all for attending this session and making this wonderful. Sorry for that. We'll talk with Kayo about the PPT because it's his own presentation, so I don't know if he's willing to share with us. If yes, then we'll definitely share the PPT with you guys on a mail.